Hello, Needham, and welcome to What's My House Worth, Needham's favorite real estate show. I'm Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. We are realtors with Hawthorne Properties, and oh, by the way, we're also in the midst of the 4th of July parade. Ryan, my question to you is, why are we doing this?
Well, I mean, Rob, we're festive guys, and we thought this would be in an appropriate place to do a show on the 4th of July. We're also here because you have to kind of celebrate the month of June.
Yeah.
I mean, additional to saying happy birthday to America, we're going to celebrate the astounding performance of June.
It was a June like no other, and we're going to be talking about June here on the 4th of July. You could argue that it's two Needham traditions colliding on one truck, Ryan.
Right.
The show and, of course, the parade. One having a little bit more clout, perhaps, than the other.
Yeah, sorry, parade.
Yeah, sorry, parade. So let's just jump right in and see what we're looking at. So what's so great about June, you say? Well, this is what's so great about June. Ryan, it's that first number. We've never seen 62 sales before.
No, and one of them slipped in right sort of at the end. We had 61 going into the weekend, but 62 sales for the month of June. That's a single month high, and we've got a average sale price of $1.25 million. Also a high, I believe, for a monthly number, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is.
But everything else looks really good, Rob. I mean, 99% and 99.6% are our two percentages of list and original list, and that's fantastic. And our average days on market are 33.
Well, it's safe to say that June is basically the month when it comes to sales and how many sales occur. So if we take a look at this June compared to Junes of yesteryear, you see it just barely skates by June of 2017 to claim the top spot.
Yeah. So, like you said, I mean, we're hitting the 60s for the third time in the last 4 years, which is pretty impressive. Which gets us, keeps our pace for the overall number of sales for the year. But June is always the busiest month, and this year is no different.
All right. And so the numbers are high in terms of sales. The question is, are the numbers high in terms of average sales price? And indeed, you take this next slide and you combine it with the previous one, and there's a lot to be optimistic about if you're, I guess, already in the Needham market, certainly. Numbers continue to head north, Ryan.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Looking at the trends of the sales prices, I mean, this again is the big one with 1.253, up from 1.1 of last June, and you can see that the trend keeps going up, so that's a positive for Needham sellers.
All right. Well, as we start to get rolling here, very early in the parade, Ryan, we're currently on Great Plain Avenue, heading towards Highland Ave, and we are heading away from Green Street, which, coincidentally, is our first listing. It is 50 Green Street, Ryan. Of the 62 sales, this one had the lowest sales price. What can you tell us about it?
And I mean, 62 sales, and the lowest sale price is $650.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you the story, part of the story right there.
Yeah.
This house, located right across the street from Needham Golf Club, had had a plumbing issue that went on in there, so the house needs a lot of work, being sold as is, but great location.
Yeah.
So I think $650. That's a good deal for somebody.
Yeah, that's a good spot, especially if you're a golfer, right? Right next to the golf course. Next up is 1022 Webster Street. And the truck is moving, Ryan. Very exciting.
Here we go.
1022 Webster Street, and we both actually walked through this house, Ryan, if memory serves.
We did. I mean, this is a great Needham starter home, selling for $660. It's move-in condition, nicely finished. It's on Webster. It's on kind of a bit, that kind of that tough part of Webster as far as busyness goes.
Yep.
But it's, what are you gonna say? $660 for moving right in and Needham, walk to town. I like it.
Yeah, and we can do it with this next listing as well. This one is on Mark Tree. It's 155 Mark Tree Road. And Ryan, I got to tell you, this was a consideration for me for deal of the month for the buyer, and it had a lot in common with your deal of the month last month at 21 Gayland, in the sense that it goes on the market in the middle of the week. They get what they perceive to be a strong offer, and they pull it before it even hits an open house over the weekend, and it sells for $665. I would think that had it gone on through the weekend, they could have gotten closer to $7, in light of the fact that this house was turnkey. I mean, It didn't need anything. It was in great shape. And they got 3 offers before the weekend came. They might have had 15 by the end of the weekend. So I thought it was a nice house, and I thought whoever got this got a great deal at $665. Next up is 213 Dedham Avenue, as we kind of stay in this price range, or actually work a little bit into the 7s. And what are your thoughts on the Dedham Ave listing.
I mean, this is a house we were familiar with. It had been on the market and sold for $630 in 2015. It's corner Webster and Dedham. It's a large lot. It's a 15,000 square foot lot. But, kind of where some of the lot was positioned, you're almost like giving it to the town. It's sort of like on the spot right by the corner of Dedham and Webster. I would want to maybe fence that in and take that back.
Yeah, it was a weird corner.
Yeah, it was like a peninsula of your property that's really not being used.
Yeah.
But all in all, I mean, getting $714, I think it's a good price for that house.
All righty. Next listing, 359 Warren Street, and this is in the area of Warren that's close to Junction, close to the train. A good spot, a popular spot. It was a very unique house. When you look at the numbers and you see a 15,000 square foot lot, you think, ooh, that's nice, a lot of land. But it was very slopey, very ledgy, and you had the garage, of course, underneath. It was essentially built, it was like a bat cave, right? It was built into the ledge. And 715 seems about right for that one. It really didn't need anything, and it had a really nice kitchen, if you remember.
Yeah.
A gourmet kitchen. So I like that house.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all right. Over to Doane, 14 Doane Avenue, and Ryan, this one took a little bit longer to sell, right?
Yeah, what gives? 66 days in Needham? I mean, come on.
It's an eternity. There were 3 price reductions, and this is, for those who don't know, Doane is, of course, the back end of Broadmeadow. The inside of the house was very dated, but you get the sense, Ryan, this one comes on the market on March 1st, which is a really good time to hit the market. It comes on at $879, right? So if it were to come on lower, priced correctly, my guess is it lands at a higher number with much less days on market, which goes back to our, you can't underprice a house if marketed correctly.
Pricing is extremely important.
Yeah.
Like you said, they captured everything. They took the time of year is perfect, but they just missed on the price. Cost you days on market and potentially upside.
Yeah. Okay, next up, Ryan, we're going to head over to 168
Let's do that.
Fairfield Street, and why don't you tell us a little bit about this house,
Ryan?
Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of on the bend of Fairfield when you go all the way around Fairfield as it bends and it turns into Man. Mm-hmm. So this is technically a corner lot, but it's like it's not a corner lot in traditionally where you have any 90-degree angles. It's more of just a kind of a rounded corner lot.
Yeah.
Which can hurt you a little bit as far as your usable yard is concerned. But I mean, this one, it was dated. It's priced essentially effectively a land sale. I'm interested to see what happens here.
All right, very good. We're going to head to 79 Henderson Street, and excuse us if you notice us toweling off over the course of the next hour.
It's very warm.
Yeah, it's not cool. That's for sure. And I don't mean us being on the back of this truck. 79 Henderson Street is the next listing, and this one is, we talked about the Doane one, right? The one on Doane, it goes on too high, it sits for 66 days, lands at 725. This one goes on correctly. It goes on for 725, and it just goes to show you price something correctly, you get that demand, and then it starts to drive the price up a little bit and sells for 750. It's a cute house, lots of potential, but needs some work. So I like that Henderson location. I think it's a nice little sneaky walk to town location.
It is, and it's very quiet. Like it's not a high traffic location at all. And you're right, it is a sneaky walk to town location.
All right, how you feeling about how things are going so far?
Swimmingly.
Yeah. All right. Same. 80 Spring Road is going to be our next listing, and we're just lots of things in the 7s and 8s this month, huh?
Yeah.
Well, there better be for all the listings there are.
There should be lots of things in everything.
So I saw this one, Ryan, and kind of an odd shaped lot, and but good considering it's walk to heights. It's a good spot. Lots of small rooms, an older house, lots of hardwood. The kitchen was updated relatively recently, and all in all, I was surprised it was on for 52 days, but it lands at 764.5. But
I like it. I like it.
It had many good times over the years, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, the new buyer's got to keep that trend alive.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Right.
Next up, we're going to head over to Central Avenue. That's 227 Central Avenue. This one sold in 2016, Ryan, for $565,000, and got renovated over the course of the last couple years, and ultimately it's a flip, and it sells for $795, just 1,300 square feet, Ryan.
Yeah.
On the first floor on this thing, but had a lot more square footage in the basement, which by the way, just puts it over to 2,004.
That's a big number.
Square feet, right? So that's a big threshold to get to.
Yeah.
Next listing on a completely opposite direction. It's Charles River Street. It's 20 Charles River Street. Ryan, you saw this one. What were your thoughts?
I thought, Rob, it was very charming. I mean, so a house built in 1834. It's got a lot of historical charm to it, some character. exterior, you got that detached garage with a space above it, a little barn. A really cool property, Rob. I think 805. I like it. I mean, it's a tough house to price. There's not a lot of comps to it.
Yeah.
It's over near the rail trail on Charles River. So a lot to like about it. You might come in there, do some modernization, but keep that historical charm because it's a nice place.
Yeah, that rail trail is becoming a selling point, wouldn't you say? You're starting to see that more and more on listings.
For sure.
14 Smith is the next listing, and this was a house I really liked,
Me
Ryan.
too.
Yeah, I mean, it was one floor living, but it was 1,675 square feet. It was just laid out very well. You had this basement with tons of space that was unfinished. So there was a lot of potential. You had a 2-car attached garage. It was in a great neighborhood. So, it hit off a lot of the boxes that people are looking for in this price range. So I definitely was not surprised to see it sell for more than $799. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a market for single level living, Rob, especially when it's moving condition and just, as clean and as tidy as this place was.
Yeah. Next up, we go to 49 North Hill Avenue. And, I realize we're on the parade, Ryan, and I don't know if this is the time and the place, but shouldn't we be coming up with the name of a neighborhood for where North Hill resides? Because if you have Olin Woods on one side, shouldn't this be like Olin something else that's not quite Olin Woods?
Maybe.
Just something to think about.
Maybe.
Mackintosh, North Hill.
All right, we'll chew on that for a month or two, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, or maybe even over the course of the episode. So I like this house. It showed really well. It was finished really nicely. The only thing tricky about this one, which was minor, is it was a really big lot, but it was a very steep slope in the back. And so, as a result, you didn't capture all the square footage. It was a 21,000 square foot lot.
Yeah.
But all in all, this is one that a listing agent is happy to have. They tee it right up.
Yep.
You price it correctly. You have an open house. You have tons of traffic, and you lock it down, within days. And that's what happened with that one. And also, pretty much what happened with 17 Plymouth, wouldn't you say?
Agreed.
As we head over to the latter
You
streets.
loved this house.
Well, I did love this house, and there was an interesting story, if you remember, that we captured about this house, which was it went under agreement basically immediately by a family, and the wife, the mother, was pregnant, and then right after they got it under agreement, she learned she was having
twins.
She was having twins.
And guess what?
They instantly decided this house was too small for them.
Right. They needed another bedroom that they weren't really aware of.
So to the seller's credit, they gracefully let them back out of the deal, and knowing that there was probably a line behind them, and sure enough, it goes right back under agreement, and it sells for $50,000 more than what it was listed for.
Yeah, every house has a story.
Everybody wins, right?
Right.
Let's stay in this in-town area and go to 62 Grant Street.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good price, Rob, for this house, meaning for the seller. So, I mean, got $850. It was on the market for $799. It's 1,700 square feet, but that does include some finished lower level space. House does not have a garage, Rob. I think people may underestimate how much that will bother them before they actually get into that house and they realize they have no place to put their stuff.
Right. Well, you would hope that they maybe have experience without a garage.
Yeah,
right?
let's hope so.
Or they have already been talking about where they're going to put their shed.
What you probably can't do is go from like a 2-car garage to no garage.
Yeah.
That'd be like moving into a house that doesn't have air conditioning on a day like this.
Exactly. Good point. All right, over to Glendale. I'm not sure how close this next listing was to the corner, Ryan, of Glendale and Glendale.
It's my favorite corner in town.
I know. That's why I brought it up. But it is located on Glendale, 38 Glendale Road. And this smells like it might be a redevelopment, right? Potentially a new construction. Did you get that sense as well?
Yep. Definitely had that look to it from a sales standpoint.
You have that perfect formula where it's no interior pictures and it says as is in the listing sheet. And that usually equals rough shape and potentially some redevelopment. Next up, 68 High Street. Before we get into that, how are we feeling so far about this experience?
It is quite an experience, Rob. I mean, to do a little bit of parade commentary, we got a good crowd out here right now. It's very festive, and we are moving right along.
Going down Chapel right now, which is right by our office. And just because somebody yells your name, Ryan, doesn't mean you have to look every time. Because
I'm like a little kid. I'm at a parade. I'm enjoying it.
Like you're like a little kid at a parade.
Right.
Well, if I was turning my head every time somebody said my name, I'd be turning a lot more. 68 High Street is the next listing, and this is the house I did get a chance to walk through. And I got to tell you, Ryan, this was a head scratcher. When I walked and saw that it was listed for $819, my first impression is that's too high for this house.
Okay.
So, no pun intended. So it goes to show you what little I know, because it sells for $852.
Maybe we should pull somebody off the street to do the rest of the show.
I have to wonder what the second best offer was on this one. But either way, in my opinion, a great deal for the seller on that one. Over to Tudor, 133 Tudor Road, Ryan.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to see this house actually before it even went on the market. I mean, there's a lot of upside here. The house is colonial, 4 bedrooms, it has a little master bath. It needs some updating, but the bones are there. The layout's good. The yard is a little bit sloped in the back, but it's a good sized lot, 11,000 square feet, in a great neighborhood on a great street. So I think it was ultimately priced well, and they got a good number for it.
Yeah, it's a desirable spot, so it's easy to sell listings when you get into neighborhoods like the neighborhood from Tudor Road. Mayflower Road.
Speaking of neighborhoods.
Yeah, speaking of good neighborhoods, we're going to head to the epicenter of Olin Woods. In fact, it surprised me because on the listing sheet, Ryan, it says part of Olin Woods.
Good for them.
But it's the epicenter.
Yeah,
of Olin
but sometimes you don't want to just throw the rest of Olin Woods under the bus.
All right.
I mean, we know it to be the epicenter, Rob, but good for them for acknowledging it, that it's part of Olin Woods, and for not being a big shot about it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. The one thing I did notice about this one, 3 beds, 3 baths, I was surprised the assessed value was only $716. I feel like when you have 3 bedrooms, they tend to skew upward, so that was a lower number. But you have a 10,000 square foot lot, which, if it was on the other side of the street, of course, would be a much bigger lot because we know the lots get bigger on that side. But on the odd side, they all stay pretty consistent. But this went under agreement, went back on the market, then ended up going for $875, which was a good number for this house. Let's be honest, it's 1,600 and change square footage.
For sure.
From Mayflower to Manning, where some people tend to go, is the next listing, and this might be a flip.
You think so?
It might be.
I don't know. Oh, okay. I don't know.
Just who the buyer's agent was gives me an idea.
I mean, it's a good number. I mean, it's almost $900,000. The house built 1917. It's on the corner of Gibson and Manning. The garage is on Gibson, which I like, because Manning, not the busiest street in the world, but it is, it's a cut through.
Nah, come on.
So garage on Gibson. We'll keep an eye on that. If we'll see if Rob Tickton's accurate on that the flip call.
Time will tell. Over to Central Avenue. The next listing is 1805 Central Avenue, and this was at the corner of Central and Oxbow. Big lot, nice lot, over an acre. Could have been a redevelopment opportunity. You could have turned a new construction home, put it on Oxbow, given an Oxbow address.
Yep.
As it turns out, it doesn't sell to a developer; it sells to an end user. And there was had a lot going for it, other than the fact it was on Central. But it was a lot of square footage and big lot in a neighborhood. So $890. That seems like a good price for that.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Next up is 7 Hillside Avenue. This one is a little bit closer to Needham Heights, and nicely finished house. I like this. As soon as it came on the market, I thought this thing is priced appropriately. It's priced well, and it's going to sell. And sure enough, it sells for more than list. And the fact that it's one house away from Cricket Field, right?
That can't hurt.
That cannot hurt at all.
It's like having a big backyard that you don't have to pay taxes on.
Good point. 22 Thornton Road. Ryan is our next listing. Thoughts on this one?
Near Broad Meadow. I mean, this one, it's the 4-bedroom colonial with a twist. Having walked through, I'm really not sure what the twist is. Maybe it's at the 4th bedroom's on the 1st floor?
I don't know.
It could
Maybe
be.
they were serving drinks at the open house.
I don't know, but good sized lot, great street, nice neighborhood. 920. I think it's hitting the nail on the head, Rob.
All right. Speaking of nice neighborhoods, we're now approaching May Street on our journey. Things starting to get going a little bit here. Lots of people. It's nice. Yeah. Right. Fun, right?
Nice and cool.
Yeah. Next listing, however, is 111 Oak Street, which was a house, Ryan, that you and I both walked through and showed very well. Just very nicely finished.
Cute as a button.
I mean, teed up. The weather was perfect. The day was perfect. Everything was, it couldn't have shown better. And I think, when you have those perfect market forces colliding, that's how you get to...
Along with a ton of demand.
Well, that's how you get to $920,000 for, a 1,700 square foot house.
I know.
There was more square footage in the basement.
Yeah, there was.
Right?
But good golly.
Yeah. And no garage on this one either, by the way.
No. But that's a great little spot, though, on Oak, and, kind of the same neighborhood we were talking about, Henderson. It is walk to town.
Right. Corner of Oak and Willow.
Yeah.
This house. Next up, we're going to go back to the ladder streets.
Yes, we are.
69 Plymouth Road. Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, so this one, this is the side of Plymouth Road that have those small lots. They're all under 7,000 square feet. Getting 930, 27 days on market. I thought this was a good price in and of itself, but also because it was basically contingent for 12 days goes back on the market, and then still flies over asking.
Interesting.
So 12 days is a long time for a house to be tied up and then go back on and still be able to have that same momentum that it had kind of right out of the gate. So I think good for the seller on 69 Plymouth. Speaks to the ladder streets.
That's what I was going to say. Anything's possible, Ryan, on the ladder streets.
Yeah.
How about on Linden Street? Is anything possible over there?
Apparently. I mean, this is a nicely finished, updated house. It's 79 Linden Street, sold for $945. One of the few houses this month that actually sold for under asking.
Oh.
But still, 10 days on market. I mean, it's a nice little deal. It gets a ton of natural light. I remember that house had a lot of windows, a lot of natural light, very bright to walk through. So Linden Street, obviously right near town. You know, you're walking to High Rock School, you're walking to the high school, you're walking to Pollard.
All right. Ryan, you may or may not be aware that our next listing is my deal of the month.
It's very exciting.
And typically when we do this, it's a one-shot.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind just ducking or scooting out of the shot here, just bear with me, and I'll do the same for you so I can own the camera. No?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, fine. You're a little too dangerous on the truck?
I might fall out.
All right, fine. Listen, I'm not disputing with this next listing the location. It's a great spot, and it commands a premium for sure. But when I saw it come on for $949, I thought, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money because it's less than 2,000 square feet. It was a tired home that needed a lot of things. The layout wasn't particularly great. It had 1.5 baths for a house in the mid-9s, and there wasn't much in the way of a yard because even though it was a bigger lot, most of that was in the front because it was a corner house.
Right.
So when I saw it sell for $958,300, I'm curious to know where that 3 came from, but $958,300, I just thought the seller had to be ecstatic with that number. To get close to $1 million for that house, I think speaks volumes to this market and what's going on and timing and all those other things. But in my opinion, deal of the month right there for the seller. Next up, 175 Richdale. This is the one that came on a little bit late.
Yeah,
Richdale.
60
seconds.
Snuck in there to take the title.
What are your thoughts on that one?
966, Rob. I just was kind of like, what? This was if it hadn't already picked my deal of the month, I think this was my deal of the month.
Yeah, maybe that's why they slipped it on.
Right, maybe try to get under our radar. But this is a lot of money for a house that's 1,800 square feet. It's 3 beds. It's 2.5 baths. It's nicely finished. It's really, really nice. There's nothing to sneeze at as far as the house goes. But when you just look at other houses of the same ilk and what they've sold for, that 966 is a pretty big number.
Yeah.
So good job, 175 Richdale.
Yeah. And good job, Brian, on that one. Take a breather here, look around, enjoy the sights. I'll take this next listing. 26 Mills Road is the next listing, and this is a location that's really close to 128 and Highland Ave, and it was a really, really good-looking house. It had a lot going for it, but it had a small lot, just 5,000 square feet, and I wouldn't necessarily consider it an A-plus location, but it nailed it. It sold for over $1 million. And I think if you take this same exact house and potentially put it in another neighborhood on a bigger lot, you're talking about maybe a 1-2 or a 1-3 house, right?
Yeah. You need to be prepared to be dazzled.
Yeah. 14 Mackintosh Avenue is our next listing, Ryan. Thoughts on that one?
This is your pretty standard split. It's a split level house. It's got some updates. It's in and out at $1,050,000. We're coming around a stretch of a big supporting crowd.
Oh
here.
Yeah, you even have a towel here to wipe off.
Oh, great! Thanks.
How about that?
Thanks. So 14 Mackintosh, and it butts the Olin College property in the back. So you basically have, like we were talking about with that other list, that you've got yourself a huge backyard.
Yeah.
Really, that's somebody else takes care of, which is nice.
Yeah. Good work. Nice. Good work, Ryan. Like you said, going through a very show-friendly section of the parade, right?
Seriously.
It's nice. Feels good. Next up is 12 Laurel, a nice house, Ryan.
Yep.
You and I both saw this one. Thoughts on that one?
Every inch of this house was updated.
Yes.
Every inch. And it was, you can't do anything else to this house other than undo and redo it maybe in 40 years. But this house was absolutely dressed to the nines. So I was really impressed walking, because when you walk up to it, it's very unassuming.
Right,
but you're
wondering, what is this price? Yeah.
It was really, really, really well done. So good for them.
Yeah, I think that one proves that you pay a premium.
Yeah.
When it's something that's renovated.
That buyer is someone who doesn't want to do a thing. They want to come in, drop their bags, and start cooking. The fridge was probably stocked with food when they moved into that house.
Yeah, well, there was plenty to like about that one. 20 Surrey Lane is the next listing. Surrey is off of Lantern Lane, which, of course, is off Chestnut. And you're talking about a lot of house here, Ryan, I thought, anyway, for 1175. It's over 3,500 square feet. But I don't know if you noticed that according to the description, it was, quote, voted one of the best neighborhoods in town.
Did we miss the vote?
Yeah, I want to.
How are we not involved?
Well,
in that
I want to
vote?
see what the rankings are.
Right, where are the other neighborhoods?
Where does it fall? What's
Yeah.
ahead of it? What's behind it?
If that's an official vote, I want to be a part of it next year.
Yeah.
Or whenever the frequency is that
We
they
need
hold that vote.
We need to find out who's doing the voting, how frequently it comes out. It's almost like the Heisman, right? Like the annual Needham rankings
We ought
of
to do
neighborhoods.
that. That'd be great.
Boy,
we have so many things on our to-do list.
I know. And now's not the time to really be talking about them. The next listing is over on Charles River Street, 395 Charles River Street. Ryan,
Yep,
take it
just
away.
past Pine Street. So if anyone knows where that little intersection is. So
I do.
I mean, this is it's a large lot. It's over an acre, but if you look at the configuration of it, it's very narrow and long. So it's not like you have this big expanse of an acre yard to play in. It's a little bit oddly shaped.
Oh, is that right?
House has some recent updates. It has a 4-car garage, which is nice. And then there's some space above the garage, which is currently unfinished but has a lot of upside.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
All right, very nice. Next up is my turn, and this is 33 Winding River. Staying on the outskirts, Ryan, for this one. This is borderline land sale, or at least that's the sense I get in the sense that you're talking about, over an acre in a great neighborhood. It is nice how sometimes we catch the sun so we can actually see what we're looking into, right?
For all we know, this isn't even recording.
Yeah, it's possible. But anyway, when you compare it to the house that you just did on Charles River Street, totally different, even though they are so close geographically. But anywho, sells for 1.2. Next up, 24 Morningside Road, and Ryan, this house, is it level? It looks like it's tilting a little bit.
I know, it looks like it's falling into the earth, like there's a sinkhole.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just, I think, a little bit of trick photography. But anyway, so you got 1.2 as a sale price for this house. Morningside. The one thing I noticed is it's, walk to Broadmeadow, absolutely, but walk to Pollard, I had to check the figures on that. We're a little outside that mile.
Oh.
So we do use the mile as the bar standard for walk to anything. This one just outside of that, but, I'll allow it. It's 4th of July. We're all in a festive mood, so fine.
Lucky for them.
Yeah. Otherwise.
Yeah, you'd be all over it.
All right.
Okay, next we're heading over to Parkinson Street, which is kind of ironic because we are kind of heading over to Parkinson Street.
We're on our way there now.
15 Parkinson Street is, I think somebody just sneezed on the back of my leg, but 15 Parkinson Street was a good listing, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
It was, you knew it was going to get a lot of play. It's a great neighborhood. It has, the 4 beds, the 3.5 baths. It's good size, an old house, a lot of charm. With that being said, and there was a really nice master suite addition, I thought, that had the nice little landing on the 2nd floor. So you had this deck overlooking the backyard. But
you got some work to do in there.
You do have some work to do. That's what I was going to say next. You can just move in.
Yep.
But ultimately, I think you're going to want to do some things to just make some tweaks and maybe make some updates. So you could be into this house for 1.2, 1.5, or you could be into it for 1.5. You know, by the time all is said and done.
But it doesn't have to be done tomorrow.
No, it doesn't, which helps. 12 Petrini Circle is our next listing. And Ryan, of all the listings in this month's show, and of course there are 62, this might have been the one that showed the best.
Okay.
Like when you talk about the word mint, they did such a great job on this house that when I walked in, I was a little skeptical on price, and after walking through it, I'm like, oh, all day long. I mean, not to mention even the backyard was beautiful. They had the tree house back there and the basketball court. And it was just they utilized all the space. It was all completely renovated. So I really like that house.
Good job.
Yeah. 70 Hillcrest Road, Ryan, is our next listing.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically a small lot, as you're gonna see, 5,600 square feet. House was built in 2010. Interesting to note that you would not have been able to build this house today. It would no longer conform with today's restricted zoning.
Why? Oh, is that
so?
Right?
It's you have first of all you have the garage where it's located. It's not set back from the street, and the other side setbacks as well on a 5,600 square foot lot are very, very restrictive.
Yep.
So, but still, this house going for almost $1.3 million.
All right, there you go. The next house is going for over $1.3 million. It's 37 Gay Street, and this one is over, of course, in the Newman School District. And I think we're going to be heading towards another fan of the show zone, so be ready for that. Or I could be wrong.
Everybody buckle up.
But this one I thought was priced well, a little dated, but this house was very well cared for, which goes a long way. And I think that explains why it was on the market for such a short period of time. Over to Falcon Street, Ryan, 35 Falcon Street. Thoughts on that one?
Built in 1997. Another one, we have a lot of these houses that are abutting large things in the backyard. This one abuts Mitchell School.
Huh.
So
That's not a bad thing to abut.
no, it certainly isn't. So you know, nice neighborhood. It's also right near that part of Falcon where it connects to Paul Revere, which is like you basically need an all-terrain vehicle to get through that little stretch.
Yeah, right.
But it
That's how they like
keeps
it.
the traffic off of Falcon, so
Right.
that works.
That's how they like it.
Yep. So I think this one's a win, top to bottom. Good job, Falcon.
So from 135 to another, 35 Parker Road, was that one a win also?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good number for this house. It's a similar to Falcon in that it was built in 2000. Interestingly, when it was built in 2000, it sold for $750,000.
No way.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
And it hasn't traded since. So one owner, but I think a good number for that house.
Yeah, all right.
Good job. Strong efforts this month.
And then how about 44 Winfield
about
Street in
44
terms of
Winfield?
being a very unique?
Yeah, good luck comping this one.
It's impossible.
But they hit it on the button. I mean, it basically sold for asking in 4 days. So someone did something right.
It's as unique of a listing as you'll find. And when I say big house on a big lot, is this what you picture?
No.
Like, I mean, look at that picture.
I know.
It looks like that could be a 1,300 square foot
Right.
ranch.
It was very deceiving.
Very deceiving.
Yeah.
But just, it was for somebody, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not your conventional.
Single level living there's a big market for it.
Yeah. So that one.
And this one had like 2 master suites. It had a lot of things that people sort of uniquely look for, but
Right.
you don't find in every house.
And you had a second floor, but you didn't really need to use it. It was just a big room up there, right?
Right,
For
right.
guests or whatever it may be. Next up is Greenwood Avenue, Ryan. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this listing?
Built in 2003. The only thing I didn't love about the layout of this house is the master bedroom was enormous. Enormous. And right adjacent to the master bedroom was a sitting room, which I love. I'm a big fan of the sitting room off the master bedroom.
I don't know if I ever knew that.
Yeah,
You
I'm
like
a
the
big
sitting
fan
room.
of it. But it has the sitting room, so then you don't need this really huge master suite.
Yeah.
So I think that space on the second floor could have been laid out differently. You could have maybe gotten another bedroom out of it, or just done something to sort of condense that a little bit. But otherwise, it's right near the corner of Greenwood and Great Plain. It's called itself the Ladder Street neighborhood, which I think is unauthorized.
I don't love it.
I don't love it, but otherwise, shoot, you're getting almost 1.4 for that house.
Yeah. Okay.
Bonanza this month.
Over to that's weird. We had some 35s back to back. Now we have a 456. 456 High Rock Street, Ryan, is a new construction home. Anybody who travels to the RTS by way of High Rock to Mark Tree from town has seen this house going up. It's on the left side, and it's new construction. It's I think our first new construction home that we've looked at. So 1449, I guess a low price new construction home, relatively speaking. Sells in 86 days. 16 John Street is our next listing, and this one is over in the name district.
Yes.
Or do we call it the first name district?
It's the first name basis district.
The first name basis district. Oh, that's perfect. First name basis district.
I love it.
Built in 2016. At the time, in 2016, sells for $1,355, and now jumps up to $1,500. That's a tidy little profit, I would say, for 2 years.
Absolutely.
Right. So
heading to another district, Rob. Cartwright Road is in the college district.
That's right.
Cornell, Colgate, Lehigh, and this is basically Wellesley. But,
yes. You have to go to Wellesley to get there, right?
Right. But we'll allow it. Built in 1988, updated since. It's the big lots over there. This is right near the Ridge Hill Reservation, basically abutting Wellesley.
Yeah, 1.78 acre lot. There's a lot of land there.
There you have it.
Next listing, 43 Farley Pond Road, was a house that showed really nicely. It had a little bit of a modern tilt to it, but it was nice. And interestingly, just one picture on this listing.
And it was not of the safe.
Yeah, that was interesting, huh? I mean,
but is that disclosure listing worthy? Basically, the disclosure was that the owner doesn't have a combination to a safe that's in the house, which is, all right. I mean, that might just be kind of mentioning at the inspection worthy, as opposed to, unless the safe is humongous
or has potentially explosives in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know what's in it, and by the way, we can't open it.
I mean, it could either enhance or decrease the value of the house.
Right.
You don't
You
know
have an
depending on what's
episode
in the
of what's that other show? Storage Wars.
Right.
Now.
Or just the it would be interesting to have an episode to cracking that safe
We need
and see what's in
Geraldo
there.
Rivera for it. Though.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, next up, 32 Briarwood Circle. We're back to new construction.
Yep. Cul-de-sac. This is off of Honeywell. This I always like to look at when I see new construction what the lot traded for, and this lot traded for $670. So that's what the developer paid, and he sells out at $1,557.
Okay, very good. Next listing, Ryan, 20 Arch Street. I think you have a few things to say about this one. Wouldn't you agree?
We do. I do. We built this home for this seller in 2011, so it's nice to see that actually the house looked great as they kept it up, and they did well on the sale. They came in after we started construction and participated in all the finishings and everything, so it was a nice, tailored to their lifestyle. I did have a bonus master suite in the walkout basement, which again is a great room for guests. But nice house on Arch. Good quick sale.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right. Next up, 7 Southfield Court. We've done a couple houses now in this neighborhood, which is almost like it's a homeowners association, right? So do you know what the fee is?
I have no idea.
Do you want to guess what the HOA fee is?
It's $1,000 a month.
Yeah, you're close. It's $885.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not nothing.
It's not nothing. There's a lot of landscaping that goes on in there.
A lot of landscaping, snow removal. But
Yeah.
there's also tennis courts. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's part of the fee, according at least to the listing sheet.
There
I've
you
never
have
seen the
it.
tennis courts, but these things it's amazing because these are all pretty much 3 beds, right? Right, but they sell.
Do you think if they could go back and redo that they would have made them 4 beds?
Yes.
I think they might have.
Yes, I do.
Or maybe they're just designed just to keep density down.
Yeah, right. Maybe. I don't know. It's working, whatever
It's
they're doing.
population control in Southfield Court.
They're still getting some good numbers, population control. 24 Douglas Road is next up on our list. As we climb, we're now into the 1.7s, Ryan.
New construction, 4,500 square feet, 5 beds.
Yep.
So 2 more beds than Southfield Court.
Okay.
And 10,000, just under 11,000 square foot lot. This lot, Rob, traded for 770, excuse me. So 100 grand more than Briarwood Circle.
Huh. All right, good knowledge.
Yep.
So the one we talked about before that was 7 Southfield Court, and the reason I bring it up is because the next one is basically right across the street because Southfield Court is on Chestnut.
Got it.
And this one is 766 Chestnut, Ryan.
Okay.
And that's a lot of acreage.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, did you notice? It was on the market for a while, so
Yep.
I'm sure you were aware of it. It can
Yep.
be subdivided into just 2 lots.
Yep.
So, don't get all excited. It can't be 6. But that's a lot of land.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's
so,
on the some of it's on the Charles, too, if I'm not mistaken.
it's close.
Yeah.
It's close. But 175, that's not terrible.
No, it isn't. No.
You know?
I mean, if you're looking at it from a development standpoint, I mean, that's, a little over $800,000 a lot. Well, almost 900. Well, but
Yeah.
it's still,
But 3 acre
right.
lot.
Yeah, you can really, sky's the limit on what you can do. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to now go to a street that I know, Ryan, you're a big fan of. It's
Yeah,
Wildwood.
it
It's
is.
probably one of your top 5 favorite streets in Needham, right?
Well, it's such a great location. I mean, it's a combination of like outskirts type land. Like you're getting acre lots, but you're right outside of town.
Yeah.
So it combines the best of both worlds. If you're looking for a big lot, but you don't want to be in the outskirts and have, you still want to be in the thick of things.
Yeah.
This is a great little spot. And this one in particular, there's a handful of properties on Wildwood that are acre lots.
Yep.
And they're right on the Charles. They're so unique to Needham, and they have so much upside. And so when this house was purchased by a developer for 1.4, they tried to capture that upside, do a renovation, and flip it. But they hit the ball out of the park with their price point, but they didn't do the work. So they really did a good job on the first floor, but they largely left the second floor alone, and I think that really, really hurt them. And this house was at one point on for 2.4, ends up selling for 1.75, and I think the person who's buying it at 1.75 can still do a couple $100 grand on the upstairs and be in that 2.4 range, no problem, and that's why I think it's a great deal for the buyer.
All right. Interesting. Well done. Well done. Under duress in the middle of the parade. That was
being heckled.
Yes. 29 Pine Street is next up. And Ryan, I'm going to turn back to you to tell us a little bit about this listing.
New construction. This lot traded for $750. So interestingly enough, you have a property trading for $750 on Pine Street and a property trading for $770 on, I think it was Douglas.
Yep.
Totally different parts of town. Land value is essentially the same.
Mm-hmm.
Pine Street, as you know, the only knock I have on it is the one-way nature to it, which I think just as a crazy person, it would really get to me after a while to only be able to take a left out of my driveway.
For sure.
But you know what? Everybody's got their quirks.
Well, if you took a poll of the people who live on Pine Street, what percentage would say we like the fact that it's a one-way?
I think it'd be a really high percentage.
Me too.
Because I think in order to actually be someone that lives on Pine Street, right off the bat, it can't be something that deters you.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's something you probably get accustomed to, and like you said, people might like it because it does keep traffic down.
Yeah.
And
All
it's
right.
only going in one direction.
That's true. Although I once went the wrong direction down that street. That's how I learned it was a one-way.
Right.
17 Fairfield Street is the next listing, new construction home. So this one, not a bad sales price for the builder of $760,000 on the buy.
Yep.
And then turning around selling it for 1,839. That's a pretty decent spread. You could do worse than that.
Right.
But again, we're starting to get into these new construction homes now, and Fairfield's certainly a good spot and seeing its fair share of turnover in that neighborhood. Over to Rockwood Lane. Back to the Rockwoods.
Back to the Rockwoods.
We're getting there. So with this sale, Ryan, there's just one more Rockwood house that needs to close, and the neighborhood is officially filled.
That's
and
great.
that last one is under agreement right now. So I would
tuned.
anticipate for next month's episode, which will be back at that old cold studio.
Feels so cramped now.
God, I never want to go back to the studio. I don't know about you.
We might have to go
Maybe
on location.
we have our own parade every month, or what's my house worth
Just
parade?
drive around.
Anyway,
There'd be less fanfare though. I think.
yeah, one would think. But anyway, 58 Rockwood Lane sells for 1,875. They're closing strong. They're not. Let's just say they're not giving away the last few houses there.
They're certainly not. They're
Which I'm
sticking to
sure
their guns.
for the people who are living there already probably feel good about these
Right,
prices.
they'll appreciate that.
32 Parkman Way. You want to talk about an interesting home, right?
Where do we start?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we start on how we first saw this house,
I mean,
right?
we walked through this house probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's really, really cool. I mean, let's be honest. It's an estate. It has so much old world charm to it. It's just a beautiful home, but it needs. I mean, you talk about a house that needs everything. When you're talking about 1,500 square foot cape that needs everything, it's not quite as daunting. But when you're talking about a house of this expanse, I mean, 8,700 square feet,
yeah,
that needs everything.
Oh my gosh!
How do you price it? And it's just there's nothing like it on the market. It was priced in the mid twos at one point. I think there was even an auction that was publicized. So
yeah.
This house has been through a lot, and ultimately landing at 199. I think I think if you're the buyer, you've got a great asset on your hands that has huge upside. There's just such a limited buyer pool for this. Someone that's willing and able to take this on.
Yeah.
Because you can do great things with it. It just needs great things to be done.
I would almost equate the renovation budget for a house like this to the Raisman house.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Because
For
you're probably talking about close to $1 million.
Yeah.
As we now pass over Lindbergh Avenue, one of our favorite streets here in town. Our next listing, all that talking you were doing on Parkman, I still didn't have my next slide teed up. I'm sorry about that.
There's a lot of abnormalities about this
Thanks, Ryan.
particular episode,
Thanks,
so we're
Ryan.
gonna let everything go.
60 Lantern Lane is the next listing, and all I can say is good job, Lantern Lane.
Boy, and we're into the twos, and we're into the twos strong.
Lantern Lane is representing.
Right.
I didn't think I'd ever see a Lantern Lane in the two twos, but sure enough, they get it done. And wisely, they, for their first picture of the listing, do the backyard instead of the front, because that is a very, very nice look, wouldn't you say, especially on a day like today?
Yeah, I'd like to jump into that swimming pool right about now, Rob. But this is 8,500 square feet. Really, really nice house.
Yeah.
But banging the drum at $2.2 million.
Yeah. It's
and
nice.
we are off and running into the twos right now.
Yeah, that's right. And there's quite a few more to go, including 137 Beard Way that sells for $2,245. This is a wonderful retreat, Ryan, for the entire family.
Yeah, this house had so you've got 137 Beard going on the market basically the same day as 130 Beard. You remember this?
Yeah.
And it absolutely demolished 130 Beard.
Yeah.
I mean, so we went from one to the other,
Yes.
and you we remember we went back to 130 Beard
to console the listing agent.
Just to console
Right.
the listing agent, because 137 was just shooting the lights out. And there's nothing wrong with 130. It just was, when compared to the house across the street from it, who was just dominating.
Yeah, that's
and so
right. Yep.
Going off the market in 3 days when you're in the 2.2s is noteworthy in and of itself. This was
that's
really,
bonkers.
really a nice house.
Yeah.
So good job, 137 Beard.
Yeah.
And worth mentioning is 130 Beard went on agreement shortly thereafter.
Yep.
So everybody wins in this environment, but 137 Beard, real nice.
Well, the sooner 137 Beard went off the market, the
They were
better
just
for
like,
130 Beard. Yeah.
Get this thing away, because you don't want the buyers going from one to the other,
Yeah.
which we did, and it was fun.
Okay, next listing is 87 Belle Lane. This
Handsome.
a very handsome development, and this one is a new development. It's off Charles River, and you're talking about a lot of really nice homes, obviously, big lots, and this one sells for 2650.
Big number.
Yeah, Charles River just steps away from that one. And we're not done with Belle Lane, Ryan. We're going to get back to Belle.
We'll get back to it, but first we're going to go to 69 Windsor Road, Rob.
All right. What do you have to say about that one?
Built in 2013 and sold for $2.55 then. So a nice little uptick from $255 to $275 in just a couple of years. And I don't believe there was really anything added to the house. You're just talking about good old-fashioned demand right there.
Yeah.
So good job, 69 Windsor. A lot of nice detail in there, too. That's a nice house.
Yeah, well,
walking through there, they did a real nice job with it.
For 275, you're going to hope that there's going to be a lot of nice detail, right? And we're at the big seller now.
Yep.
We've made it through. We're at our 62nd sale, Ryan, and it is 65 Belle Lane. We're back to Belle in the new development off of Charles River Street. And how about this, Ryan? Last year, for the entire year of 2017, there were 7 homes to sell for over $2 million. Okay?
Which seems like a lot.
Which seems like a lot. So now here we stand on, I can't remember, what's today's date?
July 4th, Rob.
Oh, yeah, of course. Who could forget? And my question to you is, how many $2+ million sales have there been in 2018, just over the midway point of the year?
I think we're in double digits.
We're at 12.
Yeah.
And there's plenty more under agreement.
Right.
So the $2 million market it has arrived.
It's arrived for sure.
You know, and I think we've talked about this before a little bit, but it's becoming so much harder to build in Newton and in Wellesley that you're just having a lot more options here for high-end buyers.
Yeah, I mean, Needham is definitely it's been the beneficiary of people being priced out of other towns.
Yep.
I mean, and so we've seen that for the years we've been doing this. That you have buyers that are, they're grouping Needham in with their search in Wellesley and Newton, and they're just finding that there's more to be had here. And Needham has been the beneficiary of that because it's helped our demand, and it's helped our demand for all levels and all tiers of the market, not just the $2 million homes, but it's boosted us up all around.
Yeah, well, it's nice to know that the market's not going to be getting stifled at the top end,
Right.
Okay, so market snapshot, Ryan. We are now obviously past the spring market for sure, and we know things are going to start going this way in terms of monthly sales.
Yep.
But as we look at what's on the market today and what's available for buyers today, what do you see when we look at this market snapshot?
Consistency. I mean, we've got 51 active single families on the market right now. That's last year at this time we were at 53. The one thing that we sort of seeing month to month that just keeps climbing is that list price. So, we have an average listing price right now of $1.75 million, and that's significant. But I think it's also worth mentioning that a lot of the homes that tend to be on the market for an extended period of time are at the high end, are at the 1.7 and up price point, whereas the homes that are coming on in the price points between say 600,000 and 1.2 tend to fly off the shelf in a very short period of time. So you're basically just pinpointing a day to say what's our active listing price.
Yeah, but you were doing the same thing last year too, right?
Oh, agreed. But I think it's you tend to that's somewhat not really reflective of what's on the market on any given day.
Yeah. Okay.
But anywho,
fair.
And we have 86 single-family homes under agreement, so lots to talk about in the months ahead.
Well, keep in mind we started the year off with
slow.
not a lot of sales, so things need to catch up as according to you they always do, and they will,
always do,
because we're always going to land at 335 sales, right? But it seems to be happening a little bit. It's coming to fruition, so good job.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of time here, Ryan. Believe it or not.
Yeah, can you believe that? We should take in some sights.
So we can, say a few things about the 4th of July, the parade, before we kind of bid farewell. Anything you want to say on this special holiday? I
mean, this is the epitome of a family holiday, I would say, and Needham is the quintessential 4th of July town. I mean, just look at all the people that first of all, that were in town last night for the fireworks, which great job again, as always, Needham on the fireworks. Great show. The rain gave us a scare, but we managed to fight through it.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. And then to have people come out a day later, some little groggier than others for this parade, which is, look at this, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
So lots of love.
Well, it's been a pleasure. We've had a lot of fun. I think what we're going to try to do here maybe is close out the show with some of the sights and scenes and sounds that we've been able to experience over the course of the parade. Hopefully nobody gets shot by any muskets.
Right.
But that'll do it for this very special episode of What's My House Worth. Thanks to all the helpers that have made this possible, and we plan on seeing you again real soon.
All right, good job, everybody.
What's my house?
I didn't know